The girlfriend of George Floyd has given emotional testimony at the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. North America Correspondent Barbara Miller reports from Washington.
Yet another very emotional day in court. We heard from Courtney Ross. She had been the girlfriend of George Floyd for about 3 years before his death. They had had a break during that time and cooled things off. But she was very weepy throughout her testimony. She talked about how she met him in 2017. She'd gone to a Salvation Army shelter. She was looking for the father of her children, who seemed to be refusing to come out and see her. She was crying then. She testified she was very upset that she couldn't get hold of her children's father. She wanted to discuss their son's birthday with him. George Floyd, she told the court, was working as a guard at that centre at that time and noticed how upset she was. And she described how he came over and in his big southern voice asked, "Is she okay? Are you okay, sis?" And then asked if he could pray with her. She broke down again, just describing that moment. They then went on to have a relationship. And I guess the point of her testimony was to humanize George Floyd. She talked about how they loved to go out to eat. He had a great appetite. He loved to exercise. He had a lot of energy. And one of the things the prosecution really pushed her on as well was his drug addiction. And she also had a drug addiction. Both were addicted to opioids. And the thinking here is that the prosecution wanted to kind of get ahead of the defense, which we've heard will focus on George Floyd's use of drugs as a possible cause in his death. So the prosecutor asked her about that shared addiction. Let's just hear her talk a little bit about that now.
Floyd and I both suffered with the opioid addiction. Both Floyd and I, our story, it's a classic story of how many people get addicted to opioids. We both suffered from chronic pain. Mine was in my neck and his was in his back.
We also heard today from a couple of paramedics who arrived on the scene. Both said that it was clear to them, as one put it in lay terms, that he was dead. When they arrived, they got him into the ambulance quickly and they described trying to resuscitate George Floyd. They were not at all successful in that. They could never determine a heartbeat. We were also shown some really confronting still images of those moments in the ambulance. And in testimony that will be a blow, I guess, to the defence, one of the paramedics, Derek Smith, said that there was no reason that the police officers couldn't have started chest compressions on George Floyd as he lay motionless on the ground in front of that convenience store before the first responders arrived.